What's up, guys? Johnny J's here, and it is Q&A Sunday, number 4. We are going to be answering the questions from last week's Q&A, and if you want a question answered, leave it down in the comments below, and we will get to it next week. We've got Adam Buskirk here. Number 1, if you could live in any video game world, what would it be and why? That's a good one. Just doing it off the top of my head. Probably the Mushroom Kingdom, because it's big, it's colorful, it's different than any other video game world. Most video game worlds nowadays are based around Earth. With either in post-apocalyptic times, say Fallout, or an actual apocalypse like Darksiders. So Mushroom Kingdom was like the first video game world I was ever privy to, so I'd like to go there. The second question, your number 1 overrated comic book character. Well, I remember you last week asking me for the top 5 overrated, underrated games. So with these questions, thankfully you kept it down to 1. Overrated comic book character. Oh my... Trying to think off the top of my head who is like super overrated. Maybe Spawn. I never really got Spawn. I mean, and I was the one who never read the comic, so when the movie came out, I thought it was all right. Not a masterpiece by any means, but I thought it was okay. So no, I just never really got the appeal of Spawn, and they kept having that whole use all up your energy and you die. I'm like, well, that will make for a very short lifespan, wouldn't it? Underrated. Okay, his third question is for underrated. Okay, who's a comic book character who doesn't get a whole lot of press? Who's just kind of off into the shadows? God, that's a tough one. Maybe Carnage, because Carnage hasn't really been prevalent in a lot of new media. That being games, movies, television shows. He's barely mentioned because everyone's go off to Venom, and then they try to make Venom in Spider-Man 3, and look what happened. You get Eric Foreman, who begs to God to kill Peter Parker. It's like, yeah, that's a really nice guy. So I'd like to see Carnage in some type of new incarnation. Humor. Because I actually like Maximum Carnage. Like, I just read the comic, the full, all 14 parts on the way to my trip last month, and absolutely loved it. And because I love the video game, so I'd like for him to be more prevalent. I mean, he's pretty prevalent in the original Never Stop Spider-Man video game, near the end at least. Number 4 from Adam is, what achievement horror videos do you have planned besides Final Fantasy 13? Gentleman never tells. I have at least 2 that are in the docket right now before I sit down and go through Final Fantasy 13, finally. After that, no, I'm just kind of going with the flow. I've actually, as I mentioned in other videos, I've got 2 kind of retrospective type series that are kind of be going in continuation with each other. One on WWE and one on Call of Duty. So look forward to those, as well as we got the Let's Plays coming up as well. But as far as achievement horror, I do have 2 that I've been working on. But hey, if you add me onto the friends list, the Space Johnny Chase on Xbox, you can, whatever game you see me playing the most, whether I'm just doing it for achievements or if I'm doing it for video, it kind of gives you a hint of what I'm doing. And Ojonix has 3 very, very heavily worded questions, mostly all tied together into one series. So, the first question, number 1, feelings on DC Comics, their live-action movies, direct-to-DVD/Blu-ray animated movies, and the direction DC seems to be taken of late, with both movie producers, directors, head honchos calling Martian Manhunter and She-Hulk stupid or boy fantasies, and Dan Dildo view on heroes should be complete assholes with no happy social life, and marriage and kids aren't allowed, like the Roy Harper daughter back in Cry for Justice or Batwoman's marriage. I think the last part there was a little bit kind of worded that a little bit differently, but yeah, feelings on DC Comics. Surprisingly enough, I kind of like DC and Marvel equally. I really don't choose one over the other. That being that Batman is my favorite superhero, next to the Avengers and stuff like that. As far as live action movies, here's the thing. Everyone craps over Green Lantern. I liked it. Because you know why? He was a guy who had a magic ring that could make green shit, and he made green shit. And one of the things is that he makes a fist out of green shit. And you know what? That's exactly what happened. I hated the post-credits with Sinestro turning into a Yellow Lantern and setting up the sequel that will never happen now. But other than that, I thought it was all right. The ones I know I don't like, obviously, is the Catwoman, Steel, Superman 4. And the weird thing is that I don't have a huge hate on for Superman Returns like everyone else seems to. Because I think it's only after the movie was released and it's out did people have a problem with it. It's like Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. You go watch it and you think it's the best Star Wars ever. You love it. And then a year or two later, after you've watched it an amount of times, you're like, no, this sucks. This isn't all that good. But I like it just fine. Direct-to-DVD Blu-ray, not a shadow of a doubt, DC kills it every single time. Like, Flashpoint Paradox, Doom. We got Justice League Frontier, Batman Under the Red Hood, which is probably my favorite of the animated series. Batman's Son just recently got released. That's pretty good. The only one that I'm kind of about was Justice League War. It's because I absolutely hate what they did with Wonder Woman for the New 52 series. Just don't like her at all. The only one that I didn't like, they had a direct-to-DVD Superman animated called Brainiac Returns or Brainiac Attacks. Didn't like that. Avoid that one at all costs. It's like Superman Doomsday was pretty wicked, even though they couldn't put in the Reign of the Supermen. So no Superboy, no Steel, no Hank Henshaw, no Eradicator. If they can make a really good one, that would be good. So I'm just going through the last bit here. We're talking about Martian Manhunter and She-Hulk, Stupid Boy Fantasies, and Dan Dildo view on heroes should be complete assholes with no happy social life and marriage and kids aren't allowed, like Roy Harper. Oh, okay. How superheroes should be brooding assholes and not have a social life or kids or marriage. Yeah. Here's the thing too. Everyone, I think, is pretty familiar with the online critic known as Linkara and how much he hates Cry for Justice. I read Cry for Justice. I thought it was fine. I can agree that sometimes that the life of superhero can, make them go dark because, there was actually a funny Robot Chicken sketch with Batman and Joker where he punched the living shit out of him and stopped at the last one. He's like, no, one more punch will kill you. And then Joker's like, oh, that's fine. I break out. I'll kill more people. Do it all over again. I've always had an idea for a series of DC or Marvel where it's just all about capital punishment being reintroduced. Some heroes like it, some heroes don't. But the district attorneys and the Supreme Court are all in favor of it just because it's one of them is my daughter was killed by let's say Mandarin. And Iron Man has the power to stop him, but doesn't because of our laws. Well, I'm changing those laws. Let's have something like that. Batwoman's marriage, I really don't know a whole lot about that. But yeah, my message to the producers, directors, and head honchos about Martian Manhunter and She-Hulk. Yes, you might consider them silly characters, but guess what? They're still these characters. You just have to read about them. I mean, look at Martian Manhunter. Remember how awesome he was in Justice League and Justice League Unlimited? I mean, Martian Manhunter, John Jones, is awesome. I don't really know a whole lot about She-Hulk. I know she's Hulk's cousin or Bruce Banner's cousin or something like that. That's all I know, She-Hulk. Now let's go on to number 2. Feelings on Marvel Comics live action movies and direct both Marvel and DC. Direction both for Marvel and DC or taking them. And do you think Guardians of the Galaxy could be a hit, or do you think they should return to doing animated movies direct to DVD Blu-ray? I would say no. I've only seen bits and pieces of one Marvel movie, and it looked all right. I honestly think with DC animated, I mean, they've been Warner Brothers Animation has been doing DC for years. back in the early 90s with Batman animated series. I mean, they're pretty much untouchable. They can really, even when they do wrong, they can still pick themselves back up. Marvel, as far as direct-to-DVD movies, as far as I know, they haven't worked out all that well, except for like the Lego Marvel ones. Let's see, the live-action movies, by far they kill it. Almost every single time, I should say. Anything that's really within the Avengers line, like Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, have been pretty good. We just recently actually watched Thor: The Dark World, and it was okay. I can understand if it didn't really do well in the box office, because it was just kind of came out of nowhere. It's like, hey, here's a new Thor movie, and what? I don't really. It was all right, and I liked it actually that it played into Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which we actually just finished watching, and it is a fantastic series. Everyone needs to go watch it and buy it on Blu-ray when it comes out, because it is a great series. I'm so happy they're doing a season 2, and that everything that's happening now will eventually fall into Avengers: Age of Ultron, which is coming out next year. Going back to Guardians of the Galaxy, do I think it could be a hit? It's really hard to say. I mean, it's a less serious tone. It's really more comedic for Marvel to do. Bautista's in it. And every time I've heard conversations of non-super into comics people that are like talking about this movie, they're just like, this looks stupid. What the hell? A talking raccoon, a giant tree voiced by Vin Diesel. This looks like stupid. And other people's like, no, Rocky Raccoon is cool. It's like, you're trying to sell me on Rocky Raccoon. You are an idiot. That's all I've been hearing on most podcasts. Let's see here. The direction of both Marvel and Disney. I think, honestly, since Disney bought the license, has been doing really good stuff with it. I mean, they're putting Marvel characters into the Disney Infinity game. I mean, who's not going to go out and buy those little figurines, place them on your little portal, and play with that on your modern game console? That's smart. That's smart by Disney. I actually honestly wish they would wrangle away X-Men and Spider-Man from Sony and Fox. Kind of bring everything all together in one universe, as opposed to separating them, because when you think about it, technically we are getting two different versions of Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. One that's in Days of Futures Past, and the other one that's in Avengers. So yeah, let's try to get everything together. And again, we're still going on about the licensing. Number 3, how are your feelings on Disney's recent treatment with the Star Wars license? From 3 canceled games, the Darth Maul game, 1330, and the free-to-play Space Dogfight game, cancellation of Clone Wars, although they allowed one more season to be finished before ending it, and pretty much making the entire extended universe non-canon, which means Boba Fett is dead in the Sarlacc pit, Thrawn and the Thrawn trilogy never happened. Sorry if I'm butchering that. And it also means the cursed alien race doesn't exist. Clone Wars didn't happen. And so much more. Oh, and yes, the grand magnum opus giving all video game rights to EA, the company where video games go to die. That's quite a mouthful. Let's try and get this. I think Disney is trying to make everything a little bit more streamlined for everyone, so that they don't feel that they need to rest on the expanded universe in order to try and tell a better story than Lucas or any other people left them. I think I brought this up in podcasts before, how Lucas took a figurine of Darth Maul and Darth Talon. From my understanding, Darth Talon exists. She's a Twi'lek who kind of looks like Darth Maul with the face paint and all that, but she exists in the extended universe and years before Darth Maul is even born. And he puts them all together and goes, oh look, they're friends now. And someone actually had to explain to him that no, this is continuity. And he's like, no, I want them to be friends. It's like, no, this person is dead by the time Darth Maul is born. It's like, well, I want this to happen. So I think Disney kind of is like, okay, we'll make George happy, we'll kill this. Which is actually funny, because in a little article I read about 86 things you didn't know about Star Wars, one of them was that there's a continuity person that stands next to George and tells him what's canon and what's not. How do I feel about them canceling the games? I didn't even know there was a Darth Maul game in production, so I really don't have any feelings on that. 1313, I'm gonna be honest. I never understood what the whole hype was. It was just two guys running in a corridor that broke apart, and maybe a TIE fighter flew by. Like, if that's all it takes for you to get hyped over a Star Wars game, I'm sorry, but I need a little bit more than that. If you get excited just over that, you excite too easily. I didn't even know what it was about. They didn't even mention anything. The free-to-play space dogfight game, I'm actually kind of sad that got canceled. There was in closed beta. What I'm really upset about is that since they've made the expanded universe non-canon and they've canceled a whole lot of other things, we're not going to get a definite conclusion to The Force Unleashed 2. Because if you remember that game, the good ending at least, they captured Darth Vader. The Rebel Alliance has Darth Vader in its clutches. And I know Starkiller is still trying to deal with the fact that he's a clone, if he's not the real thing. But then you see this ominous shot of them, him and Juno Eclipse taking off, and then Boba Fett following them. And we never got a true sequel, and we never will. So, and I don't think they're ever going to write in a satisfactory ending to that. Also, how do I feel about the Clone Wars ending? Or cancellation of the Clone Wars? Didn't care. I hated the CG thing. And I hate that that's the canon thing. When the Samurai Jack Powerpuff Girls animated special, that was considered canon because that took place exactly between 2 and 3. And it showed the how Palpatine got kidnapped. It showed how General Grievous got his throat smashed in by Mace Windu because he force crushed it. And it led into, Anakin's better arm because he saved a bunch of aliens from being mutilated and all that. And yeah, like that was a better one. If you can find the Clone Wars animated, that series is way better than that stupid little, we gotta save Jabba the Hutt's baby for some stupid reason. And oh god, I really tried to watch that, and I'm like, this is not good. I hate this thing. And about the expanded universe stuff, yeah. Technically, Boba Fett could still come back from the Sarlacc pit. I know everyone knows that he comes back in like comics and novels and stuff, but that could still happen. And Abrams could write that in. Let's see here. And finally, the Grand Opus giving all video game rights to EA. As long as they do a good job with Battlefront 3, I don't care. I've been waiting for that game for years. And the only thing that's left now is Battlefront 2 on PC. That's still playable, by the way. The PS2 actually just went down last night. Last night was the last night you could play it online on PS2. But, let's be fair, how many of us could actually play on PS2s? Everyone's moved up to PS3 and PS4 now. But, yeah, that was it for questions. I got two people and a multitude of different questions and answers. Thank you guys so much for asking. Go ahead and leave a question down below for next week, and I will see you next week. This has been Q&A Sunday. Take care.